Good evening, everybody. We are coming at you live from the Liminal Pines. Hello, my name is Alan, and this is my YouTube channel where we do art, where we do talking, where we do drawing, which is different than art. I would know. I've been getting over a little bit of a sickness over the past week. I was wanting to stream last week, but just like out of nowhere, I was just hit with like a pretty bad sickness. I don't get sick very often, not anymore, and it's probably because like I pay like pretty close attention to my diet and my exercise. Like I wash my hands. You know, a lot of people don't want. You would be surprised. Um, you would be surprised at how many men do not wash their hands after they take a piss in public. I would know. It's an alarming amount. So if you encounter a man in public, ask yourself the question: is this somebody who would wash their hands after taking a piss? And the answer might shock you. It's been a while since you and I have had our little reunion. So much has happened in the past few weeks. I found love. I found loss. I found myself. I went on a spiritual journey, a metamorphosis, if you will. I saw highs and I saw lows. I know I'm being very vague, but just know I went through a complete character arc, and I'm now a different person. I got a lot of things that I want to show you this week. We got a couple of things back here. Ooh, ooh, ooh. See, this is the show and tell portion. That we're bringing it back. We're bringing back show and tell. So we got some show and tell right here. Also, I want to show off all the art that I've been working on. Whether it's through like the shorts that I've been posting, or my anatomy studies. We're almost done with the Bridgman studies. So we're going to be chronicling, I'm going to be showing you what I've been doing there, as well as I'm going to be, oh, I gave a little thing. As well, I'm going to be showing you what's the plan moving forward. So I'm excited to share that with you. I'm excited to share this with you. This is a bust that I commissioned of myself. It looks just like me, doesn't it? Wait. It looks just like me, doesn't it? From the right angle. Wait, which way am I looking? This is, I guess we can start show and tell right now. This is an Asaro plane head. I have, well, this is the case for a lot of people. I suck at drawing like faces, right? And I want to practice that more. And it's like if you have a reference in front of you, it's like, yeah, I can like copy a reference one to one, but it's hard to get the forms down pat, and that's kind of what this is for right here. I'm a very hands-on, like physical learner. Yeah, you know it. So I like having like a physical sort of like three-dimensional thing that I can see in front of me just helps a lot. And it's like I can manipulate this in real time, and like I can move it around different light sources and sort of see how that affects it. And it's also just a nice little reminder, like maybe I am drawing something from reference, and maybe I want to do like cast shadows on it, or I want to show the plane changes. Yeah, this helps with that as well, because it's not going to be one-to-one with every person's face because we're all different, but like generally, like this is how the skull is going to look when you put the flesh on top of it. And like generally these are going to be the proportions of a head. So it's there as a little aid, and it sits here on my desk, and it's like I have well, it's not like I have a little head staring at me. I have a little head staring at me. And I also have a tiny head just in general. You wouldn't know that because normally you only see me from like the chest up, but just know I have a tiny head. What else do I have? I don't know if I don't think I have anything else here to show you as far as like things that I have. Um, let me tell you a bit about just the media I've been consuming, because all I do is consume things nowadays. I don't make things. Okay, I'm an artist that doesn't make things. I just consume. I watched the new Mission Impossible. Is it even new? But it just like literally just got on streaming release. I'm pretty sure it did. Uh, the movie came out like a year ago, and it was in theaters for 20 months, and it took forever to get to streaming because Tom Cruise loves his movie theaters. I'll tell you my opinion on Mission Impossible Final Reckoning. It has a stupid title. It's because the movie beforehand was Dead Reckoning Part 1, and they were going to name the next one, this one, Dead Reckoning Part 2, but then that's stupid because we're kind of out of that trend for movies to be like two-parters. And they realized afterwards, they're like, wait, this is stupid. So they just called it Dead Final Reckoning. They called it Final Reckoning, which is equally stupid, but I guess it's less stupid than Dead Reckoning Part 1 and Part 2. I enjoyed it for like the most part. It's a Mission Impossible movie. I still think my favorite Mission Impossible movie is Mission Impossible Fallout. I think it's just like pretty solid through and through. And the last movie it was all right. I didn't love it. I thought the action was kind of subpar, and the plot was, what if there was an evil robot? And that's the plot of this movie as well, but they do it it's not like, it's more of a MacGuffin than anything. Like it's like not even like a character anymore. It's just like, we need to stop this evil robot thing from doing evil things, from like controlling the world, and that's pretty much all you need to know. The movie has like two main sort of like these movies are known for their action sequences, for their stunt sequences. The first one is probably my favorite one, and it was the one from the trailers that I wasn't thinking I didn't think I would enjoy it, because I thought it would be boring, but like I actually found it to be like pretty like brilliantly choreographed and filmed and like lit. So I was like pretty like, I was like, okay, this is pretty good. He's in like a submarine, he's going like deep in like a diving suit, and I don't know, I thought the tension was there. I thought like the light from his suit sort of creating like these rim highlights on the sub around him was really cool. I thought they did this thing where like as the sub was rolling, there was like halfway filled with water because he drained some of it to get in there, and just all in all, it was like super tense and just well choreographed. I thought like they used the set of the sub pretty convincingly. Like I was like fully immersed, and it was one of those sequences that was shot in IMAX. So when the scene starts, you sort of like see the bars sort of shrink at the top, and I thought that was really cool. The second is the one that's on the poster for the movie, and it was in much of the promotional material. Is Tom Cruise is like hanging off an airplane, which is not the first time he's done that. So the luster is lost there just a tad bit, but I mean, like, it was giving action adventure as far as like being true to the genre. I mean, it was pretty fun. It's just jumping from plane to plane. I mean, it was like pretty standard fare for like what you expect Tom Cruise to be doing. Yeah. Other than that, I mean, I would give the movie maybe like probably like a 6 out of 10, and not an IGN 6 out of 10. 5 is just like a perfectly average movie, not good, not bad, just kind of like average standard fare. 6, it's a good movie. Like, you can watch it and enjoy it. You're probably never going to watch it again. I would give Mission Impossible Fallout like an 8, probably, if you want to see how my rankings align there. That's my Mission Impossible take for the day. We love Mission Impossible. The second thing that I want to talk about is I played through a 2010, I believe it's 2010. I think it's a 2010 game. Alan Wake 1, specifically Alan Wake Remastered. It's Alan Wake because I was able to purchase Alan Wake 2 at a ridiculously cheap price. And I was like, okay, I'll play the first game because I bought it for about like $3. So I was like, why not? Why not? So that's pretty much what I've been doing this past week while I was sick. Is I played Alan Wake 1, which probably made me like dislike the game a little bit more than I should have, just because I felt physically ill while I was playing it. Regardless of that, I can remain a little bit more objective when it comes to my experience with the game. I think Alan Wake Alan Wake 1 is just a perfectly like like perfectly made 5 out of 10 game. You know, it had its moments where I was like, you know what, this is cool. It had its narrative beats where I was like, this is cool, but it's a video game from 2010. It's an action game from 2010, so it's got some jank to it, and it's pretty repetitive with its combat. The atmosphere, they play like the same song again and again and again throughout each level. That got really old really quick. The gunplay was, I mean, it didn't control poorly. I mean, there was some like tankiness to it, but you know, it's the core gameplay was like interesting for a little bit. It would be more interesting if you weren't doing it constantly, but they don't switch it up very frequently. So you're kind of just running around, shining your flashlight at demons, and then shooting them with a gun. And you know what? The game doesn't it doesn't make any concessions with that. It knows what it wants to be. It's like you're gonna run around in the dark shooting at monsters, and you know what? That's fine. But like the narrative and everything, it's very cool because it's like Alan Wake is a writer and he's running around picking up manuscript pages from a book he doesn't remember writing, and these manuscript pages seem to predict the future, things that are happening around him, and it's sort of up to him to figure out what is going on. And I thought they did some clever things with how the story played out. You know, it's like you would find a manuscript page, you'd be like walking through the forest, you'd find a manuscript page, you're like, Alan Wake was walking through the forest when all of a sudden a guy with a sledgehammer leapt out from behind a tree and swung it at his head, but he managed to duck just in time, or else it would have decapitated him. And then like 3 minutes later you fight a guy with a sledgehammer, and I was like, okay, yeah, that's pretty fun. Like it builds some tension because you kind of know what to expect, and you're like, ooh, when's it gonna happen? And then they sort of like play into a bunch of like metafictional things, you know, because you know, Alan Wake is a writer. He is sort of like, uh, am I in a story right now? Did I write the story, or was the story written before I wrote the story? And he sort of like goes crazy, which I do like the fact that they don't like address Alan Wake's craziness, that he doesn't like resolve it at any point. He's just like, he's still like a psycho, like, or he is becoming more psychotic as it goes on. He's like, you know what, I'm shining my flashlight at this bulldozer and I'm gonna explode it. I don't care. I need to get my wife back. I need to find my wife. Oh yeah, he's also looking for his missing wife. So yeah, I got through that game. Pretty short game, all things considered, which I guess, while it's repetitive, it's not very long, so that kind of helped the experience out just a little bit more. Solid 5 out of 10 game. Play it once if it sounds like that's something that would interest you. If you don't feel like playing it, but it sounds interesting, just watch a playthrough of it, or maybe just watch someone like break down the story. You don't need to watch a playthrough. Just watch someone be like, and here's what happened, and here's what happened, and here's what happened. And I think that would be good enough. That being said, I started playing Alan Wake 2, and I genuinely do think that it is shaping up to be probably like like a top 10 game of mine if it maintains the trajectory that it's currently on, because it is all of the things about the first game that were good, and it removes all of the things that were bad. So it kind of like it makes the combat more tense. It's more survival horror focused. It's more eerie. It's more the story is sort of like it like folds in on itself. You're going through two different narratives that are sort of like happening. Are they happening at the same time? I don't know. Like I really don't know. So I'm still figuring things out. I don't know how far I am through the game, and I'm not going to spoil it for myself. But Alan Wake 2, from the do yourself a favor and just watch like the intro sequence. You'll know when the title card happens. When that's done, just watch like the first 5 minutes of the game. Put on headphones and you'll be like, ooh, wait, this game's got it. This game has sauce. This game knows ball. Is that like a thing that people say? This game knows. Oh, this game knows ball. This game has what it takes to be a good game. So yeah, I mean, I'll let you know my complete thoughts on Alan Wake 2 whenever I finish it. I'm taking my time with it. It's one of those games that I kind of want to savor as I'm playing it. I don't want to like rush through it because like it's so like densely packed with just like so many neat little narrative flourishes and environmental details that like I really just want to take my time with it. I don't want to blast through it as quickly as I can. Okay. I bet you want to you want to just want me to shut the hell up, right? You just want, yeah, I know what you're thinking. Can this guy please shut the hell up and show us some art? Can this guy claims to be an art YouTuber, or does he? Can he just show us some damn art already? Fine. I get it. I get it. I'm a little art monkey, and all you gotta wind me up. After you wind me up, I just start drawing. And you clap and you throw peanuts at me. I get it. Let me show you. Let me show you some things from my sick and twisted mind. Let me show you the art that comes from this sick and twisted mind of mine. So bear with me here. Ooh, that's my desk. The Outer Wilds brick set is on my desk for the moment. I need to find a better place for it. It's probably not going to remain on my desk just because it's taking up a little bit too much space for my liking. That's not in line. Hee hee hee. I don't remember all the things that I did since I last streamed, like art-wise, so I'll show you two things. Two like things from the shorts. We have this one right here first, which was a pretty fun one to do as far as rendering goes, because it is just simple one directional hatching. So really, all you're really having to pay attention to is sort of the values and the silhouettes. And I don't really have much else to say about it other than it's meant to sort of like emulate like a hazy fog. That's what the hatching is trying to do. It's sort of trying to imply that there's something blocking the detail from being shown. So that's if you want to see me draw that, go ahead and watch that short. Or if you want to see me draw it again, watch the short a second time, or a third time, or a fourth time, or a fifth time. I don't care. Watch it as many times as you want. This is the other one that I did. This one's a little bit more complex as far as the hatching goes. There's a bit more use of negative space and cross contours to describe shapes and form. First of all, this blackness right here is comprised of sort of just like little blocks of hatching you know, and like I would like do a little square, and then I go over here and I do a square and I'd layer it up. That took like literally forever. It was very tedious. So if you could congratulate me on pushing through that, that would be amazing. Uh, the leaves done over here, I sort of like I drew out the silhouettes of sort of the foliage, and I went through and I did hatching around it. So for the majority of these, the negative space is the leaves. It's sort of just blackness around it. And some of them I accentuated with perpendicular hatching, some of them I didn't. But you can see here, a lot of these leaves are sort of, they're just the white of the page with the background hatching around it. And that we were doing some value contrast there. Same thing for like, to a lesser extent, some of the foliage down here, and definitely the moss on the stone. You can see for the stone, I followed the contour of the stone with the hatching, and I kept the hatching pretty minuscule comparatively to, let's say, like the hatching of like the trees up here. That's kind of sort of to show that there's a bit more nuance in its form, a little bit more granular. And it's also just to provide some visual contrast to the larger swaths of cross contour hatching over here. Speaking of cross contour hatching, we did that for technically these rocks are here, but also the roots of these trees. And as the cross contours follow the form that gives the illusion of three-dimensionality, and it sort of follows the tree along as it goes. All in all, I quite liked working on this piece. It was really fun to sort of like sketch out and to figure out the placement of all of the elements. Art is fun, and art should be fun. Art should have a little bit more whimsy, and I'm looking to get out of like the super serious. You know, that's like when you're like starting out with learning how to draw, you're like, okay, I need to do just still lifes, and I need to draw things exactly as they are, and, you know, like zero room for creativity. I'm not saying that's the case for all people, but for me, that's definitely how it is, and I need to learn how to branch off from that and learn how to incorporate a little bit more whimsy into my artistic process, and this was sort of a step in that direction. Next, I will show you, what will I show you? Well, I guess I can show you this. It's not really too much. I'm reading V for Vendetta right now, but for after I'm done with V for Vendetta, I got the next volume of Takiko Inoue's Vagabond. So this is going to be a treat to read. I love this manga, and I'm excited to, you know, have the physical print right in front of me and just more beautiful art to be inspired by, to hopefully study, and an amazing story to read along to. For my animation studies, I'm less than 10 pages done with my Bridgman anatomy sketchbook, and I don't want to necessarily stop studying anatomy, but, you know, Bridgman has its limitations, and it's been very useful, and I'll sort of like do a review of Bridgman once I'm done with that sketchbook and we do a full sketchbook tour of that. But I don't want to stop my anatomy studies there. I feel like I've got a lot of the muscles down. You know, it's I did quite a bit of learning of how to draw muscles, how to wedge them together, how they behave in a three-dimensional space. And that was all extremely helpful. What I'm doing after the fact is, in the background while I'm working on other art, I am going to be using this book as sort of my next step in my anatomy studies. This is Tom Fox Draws. This book is very elaborately describing the basic forms and contours and functions of the human body. It's a bit more, well, a bit more, it's a lot more detailed than Bridgman's anatomy studies. Uh, Tom Fox Draws focuses a lot more on sort of breaking things down, not only into simple shapes, but simple forms, showing how they interlock, showing the functions of the muscles plainly. And importantly for me, this art style may not be for everybody when it comes to learning, but this is an art style that I resonate with and that I want to learn from as I'm progressing in my art journey. And so that's why I chose Tom Fox Draws. I could have chosen so many other different anatomy books, but this one really spoke to me as far as the styling goes. I love how Tom Fox Draws focuses a lot on the line. It's like, how do we use the line to communicate forms of the body? How do we overlap shapes? How do we use rhythms in our lines? It's all really great. Really, really, really great stuff. Is that... let me see if that has any personal information on it. Nah, okay. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I'm really kind of just flipping through so you have the ability to sort of see what I see in this. But there's a lot of really good stuff, and it feels like a natural step up from Bridgman. Bridgman is a lot about, you know, like he's like showing you the muscles, he's showing you the insertions, he's showing you the basic forms. Very gestural, very structural, and then I feel like Tom Fox Draws it's all of that plus the artistic anatomy. You know, I mean, like this like says everything right here. It's not about being 100% accurate. It's about sort of communicating character, and he's teaching that through the anatomy, and I really love I love the way that he draws in perspective with different forms, and I love the way that he describes muscle shapes, and I love how he shows different levels of detail. And there's just something so whimsical about it that I quite like. So that is what I am going to be studying from as time moves on. So hopefully we'll see an improvement in my anatomy. Speaking of improvement, we have a lot of drawings to go through. I'm trying to figure out where to start this. See, I can't remember what I showed off last time. That's an art piece. I don't know if I'm ever going to get around to finishing it. I think the concept itself was maybe a bit flawed for me, sort of like teetering on fan art, but also it's like maybe I just did a poor composition and I should have planned it out a bit better. But I learned a lot from it, so I guess that is really all that matters. You know, we're showing a lot of anatomy. We're showing a lot of drawing faces. We're showing a lot of anatomy. A lot of drawing faces. Look at that. Anatomy, drawing faces. I think this is from the last stream, if I remember correctly. Got more anatomy and faces. Two things that I feel like I need to focus on more is just like I need to focus on just like like getting like faces right, but also like getting my get it proportions. Like I feel like this is just thumbnail concept. I don't even know what to describe it as. Here we have just drawing people. Whenever I get bored, I always and it's like whenever I don't know what to draw, I kind of just result to drawing people. So you'll see that a lot, which it's like it's pretty good to it's a pretty good thing to focus on. Here's a like I think this I feel like I did a pretty good job on. It's a quick little full sketch, but I feel like the gesture and I like the straight lines that I used and everything. I like the silhouette right here. And that's a this is me, or it's supposed to be me. My wife tells me that whenever I draw myself, I make myself like look creepy, and I just don't think she realizes like how ugly I actually am. So like whenever I depict myself artistically, I like embellish my ugly features, and it sort of results in this, and it's hard to reconcile that. I feel more portraits. These are all freehand, I think, so the proportions are a little wonky. We got more portraits, yeah. Um, like this one is freehand, I think, so the proportions are a little wonky. Same with this one. I think they're all freehand, but that one's not. That one's not freehand. Everything else is freehand though, so it's gonna look a little weird, I think. Here we have, this is sort of from the Tom Fox draws. It was sort of learning arms is very hard because there's a lot of muscles that are in the arm, and I was using Tom Fox Draws book to break down the skeleton of the arm so I could better understand it. And I feel like it helped quite a bit. And then I don't even know what this page is right here. This is I got so frustrated while I was drawing because I was having such like a bad day that I was like I can't draw anything. I suck. I'll never draw anything good ever again. I don't think you're like a true artist unless you experience severe moments of self-doubt. Here is the Anatomy Study sketchbook. I really don't remember where we were last off with this. But we'll start with the shoulders. Lots of shoulder anatomy. You'll see these are copies of Bridgman's diagrams describing everything that is going on. I draw a lot of men, not because I necessarily only want to draw men, but you have to keep in mind I do a lot of my anatomy studies at work, and so it's hard to do like anatomy studies of women when you're at work and it's like someone could glance over and be like, is he looking at a naked woman on his phone in the break room at work? And then I have to be like, no, I'm not. I swear I'm not. The struggles of the modern man. I don't have much to say here. I mean, it really is all for me. Like this is kind of like the way that I'm studying, and so you'll see me trying different things. You'll see me trying different ways of rendering, but you also see different ways of construction. It's like this one is using more boxes, and this one right here is using more sort of like points of reference and shapes. This one is using more silhouettes. This one is sort of like a mix of all of those things. You see center lines and you see ellipses, and you see you see all of the things that I am trying out. Here we have more shoulders. This is from the back view because damn it, the body is three-dimensional, and it's very hard to envision the body when you're working in 3 dimensions, so you have to study it from all of those dimensions. So you see a lot of backs here. focusing primarily on the shoulders, but it's also good to sharpen up like on the back muscles. And you'll see me focus a lot on definitely getting that center line where the spine is going to be, but also like placing, it's like you don't want to place the shoulders as just like a straight T, because your shoulders are quite mobile. Like they can be in front of the body, they can retract behind the body, and you'll see like the scapula follow that. Here we have some freehand studies. I have a tendency, this is an error of mine, and I know that, to elongate the torso way too much, so you'll see me doing that a lot. I'm still working on my proportions, and it's like I know the proportions. It's just, you know, when you're doing like the free hands, you're working a lot of muscle memory when maybe you shouldn't be, and that's very hard sometimes to correct. And so I'm in the process of correction there. And here we have our our notes on the arms. And let me just say, the arms are an incredibly complicated body part. I thought the legs were complicated with all of its muscles, but it can be sort of be broken down into sort of like 1, 2, 3, like 4 major masses. The arm, it depends on if like your palm is facing upwards, downwards, which muscles are flexed, where the like if it's like raised to the side, like what angle you're looking at it from. It can be quite overwhelming. So you'll see me struggle with arms quite a bit, and I probably will be for a while. But Bridgman does a good job in explaining everything, how to do it. And so like you'll see in my practices, I'll be referencing the Bridgman book on the side while looking at my references to make sure I'm like getting all of the muscles correctly. I'm trying to do it cleanly, and it's like I'm doing one arm at a time because it's what I'm comfortable with, and then as time goes on, you'll see me doing different levels of flexion, pronation, supination, and then it sort of like gets into, don't ignore that, I don't know why I draw a person here. This is an anatomy book, not, I don't know what this is. And it's like once I'm comfortable with like the pencil, it's like you start to throw a pen in there, because like I like drawing with ink, so I'm very eager to hop into like getting those darkened lines down, and it's very messy. I know it's messy. I'm trying to do it. I'm not doing like very intense 12-hour long studies. You know, each of these sketches are maybe 10 minutes a piece, if that. I don't know, like these are the faces of like the people that I'm drawing. I guess I was just trying to fill space. I don't know. I really don't know. Here we have the arm as viewed from the back. Definitely a lot of complexity going on here. Look, I even like did some Tom Fox draws studies right here, because the elbow especially is such a unique landmark in how it shows when the arm is flexed and when it's not flexed. So I was trying to envision that in my mind, and this helped quite a bit. So as we jump into here, we see trying to draw the arms as viewed from the rear, and you're seeing, and you're not always supposed to make the elbow into a point, but I find it pretty satisfying when you accentuate the pointiness of the elbow. It feels good for the silhouette, and it's a landmark to show like, hey, the arm is bending here, or like, hey, the arm, this is like the halfway point of the arm. Some people just got bony elbows. They got bony ulnas. What are you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do about it? And then, yeah, that is. Did I skip? Oh, I skipped two. I didn't know I skipped these pages. Oh, that's embarrassing. I'm gonna have to go back and fill those out. I really didn't know that I skipped these. That's my bad. Well, I got more pages than I thought I did. That's embarrassing. I've been drawing in like quite a few pages in here. It's kind of weird that I did not notice that beforehand. I think these pages must just have stuck together every time that I was doing it. We have sort of getting away from the strict arm practice and sort of throwing different things together. So there's a lot of arms there, but there's also some full figure things going on. And we're not trying to draw every muscle individually. We're trying to pick out bits and pieces of muscles that we want to show. What combinations can we use? What silhouettes can we use that are satisfying to the eye? More of that. Jumping around with the different mediums. We're using color pens. We're using black. We're using pencil. We're doing all of these different things. It's kind of just my way of messing around as we get to the end of the sketchbook, kind of doubling back onto the different things that I've been learning this entire time. And that leads to what I've done the past few days. More full body stuff here. I like drawing full figures mainly because you have multiple points of reference. You know, you're like, okay, like how many heads tall is this person? Like where's the in relation to the head? Where is the knee? Where is the leg? Where are the arms? And you sort of you can use all of these different landmarks and constantly compare them in order to get decent proportions. I feel like I did a good job. I quite like this sketch right here. Case in point with this one right here, like when you're trying to do like anatomy studies, when it comes to like women, it's like I'm sorry, but it's like the men are in their underwear, the women are also going to be in their underwear, and so it's like I'm drawing these women in their underwear, and I'll just be at work. It's like it's so nerve-wracking because it's like, are people gonna look over and be like, he's looking at pictures of women in their underwear on, I don't know. I'm not a weird guy. I promise I'm not a weird guy. Yeah, and then I did this one earlier today. I had a pretty short lunch break today, so this is all I could really crank out. I had 3 slices of pizza. They were delicious. And yeah, that leaves me with very few pages left. So this sketchbook is coming to a close. We're gonna fill out the rest of this page. That's what the rest of the stream is going to be. I'm gonna go to the restroom real quick before I get to drawing. So go on and hold tight. And if you want to draw along, or I'm not going to be displaying what reference images I'm going to be using, but if you got something you're drawing right now, go ahead, get that sketchbook out, get that sheet of paper out, and draw along, and we'll have a good old time. But I'm gonna be right back. I need to pee really bad, if I'm being honest. Like, I've been holding in so much pee for the past like 20 minutes. It's a miracle that I made it this far. Okay, we are back. And we are. What are we doing? Setting a little 25-minute timer just so I can remind myself where we are. But I'm going to be looking. I'm going to look for my reference image here very quickly. Okay, I think I found one that I like. I think I'm gonna run with pencil as my undersketch for this one. I don't feel like freehanding quite yet. I think I'm gonna do it like I need to define the boundaries of where this drawing is gonna be. So I need to define what's going on here. So this subject, their legs, they're sort of doing this little squatting thing. Their legs are sort of right here. Their head is sort of doing this lean. Their center of mass is kind of thrown like right here, but their head is sort of right here. We're just going to be using simple shapes to begin with. Their back is sort of arched over. Their arm is extending all the way down to the ground. Their other arm, they're doing a little, they're making a little shh, like a be quiet motion with their arms, with their with their fingers. So there's that. The derriere is roughly right there, and then definitely the knee. If we're looking at it as far as the joints go, it's a little bit to the left of the shoulder joint, right here. So like our knee falls roughly right here, and it's making this triangle down, and then the foot is this other triangle right here. So I've been trying like different approaches to doing like different. It's like, how do we start with blocks immediately? Do we do gesture? What I find is like a mix of like gesture and sort of like silhouette works really well for me. I mean, it might not work the best for you, but I find that to be sort of very intuitive. Make sure I get my eraser out so I can figure this out. I got, so it's like, okay, I think I got like a lot of like my big shapes down. I'm going to move to trying to get in a little bit more of the forms, you know? I think I'm going to start with like the shoulder here. Still keeping it, you know, a little like blocky. You know, I don't want to commit too much to like all the contours and everything. I'm still keeping it like, still think of it like as sort of like I'm thumbnailing for the pose, you know? It's got like his fist down right there. there's just fun things. So the tibia, I guess like the femur and the tibia have this little unique property about them is like the bones kind of like bend inwards towards the center of the body, so they have this like slight curve to it, and it can add to this very like dynamic look within the legs. I think I might have placed our feet a little bit too high, but that's okay, because I'll just bring them down a little bit more. We're gonna have to go off the page a little bit. Proportions, or I guess when like fitting everything on the page, can be very, very difficult to get right. So we know the pelvis is like back down here because our legs are sort of back here connecting into that. So we go right over there. We're not gonna focus too much on like how like the hands look. I mean, like I could be like perfect the anime, but like we don't need to be doing like all the hand stuff. We know the lats are sort of wrapping around because he's sort of like bending forward, so like there's a bit of like you see a mass back here, if that makes sense. Especially since you're seeing a bit of like the back and the traps. You're not seeing the muscles like plainly and direct, but you are seeing sort of as if you were looking them from like the top because there's this curve in the spine. And there's some like fabric going on down here with this guy. Also, his calves are huge, but not because I mean he probably has huge calves, but they're gonna look a lot bigger because he's where he's squatting. His hamstrings and his calves are pushing together and they're sort of flaring out to the side, so all the mass that would be on the back is coming out. There's some exaggeration on the silhouette up here. I'll probably chain like bring that reel it in a little bit more as we move forward. Here's the thing I don't want to do too much of with this arm specifically. I don't want to over detail it because it's not in the front, and if I do too much detail on this arm, it's going to kind of distract from everything right here. So normally what I'll tell myself is anything that is sort of facing away from anything that is facing away from the quote unquote camera is going to get a little bit of a lack of detail. You can see sort of if we were to like contour this right here, like there would be like a curvature of like the spine. This would be like the chest, right? Because the chest comes up here and it sort of, if you were to look at like this part right here, the separation between your pectoralis, I believe your minor is on top. I don't know. When your pecs, you would see a separation between here, a little indentation as sort of like your pecs there, and then it goes up into your deltoids, which in this case would be a little bit more up here. Like sort of they flare out a little bit more. There's some overlap happening here with I might have fudged the proportions of this a little bit more. What I really should be doing is just drawing like the hand and then connecting based off of there. Here's the other thing that I do. I do have a tendency to make the head way too small. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna increase that still a little bit more, just to overcorrect for myself. This is looking a little messy, and I'm gonna be real. That's just because it is. I'm working through a lot of different things right here. Doing full figures is hard because it's like you got to worry about. It's like, oh, I have to worry about everything in tandem, you know, and that's the struggle of the artist. You got this. This foot's sort of falling behind over here. And you shouldn't feel guilty about like having like a messy like under sketch because like that's the point of a sketch, is it's not a final drawing. So it's like I'm not like beholding myself to like having like the cleanest lines here. It's like I'm working through a lot of different things all at once. There's a lot of muscle overlap happening in this leg right here, but the thing is that I don't know if any of that is like absolutely necessary to like how like this pose is going to read. So I am feeling inclined to sort of like kind of just like black all of this out, to sort of just like darken all of this out. This person is wearing, they're like wearing these like pants, so there's got a lot of like dangly bits to it. So we can use that to our advantage to like cover up some of these forms here, but also it's kind of show us something that's wrapping around the body right here. I think the eyes would be a little bit further up. We're drawing scary eyes here. Gonna make sure you gotta show those muscle overlaps. That's a big thing that we're gonna be looking for here. It's like, where can we show that there's some overlap happening? Doing the details of the face is always the hardest bit. I think it's more like this. Because they're looking down, you're going to see like different facial features get squashed. Now let this be a lesson that like drawing people is hard, and it's like kind of you have to make a lot of choices, especially if you're like considering. It's like, are we how much of like style are we considering? It's like, how much am I wanting to interject into this? This guy's wearing a glove too, so that can help us with describing the form a little bit more. Or it's not like glove, it's more like wraps. It's like boxing wraps. We don't need to show too much going on right here. Maybe a bit of like a little bit of cross contour. We'll show with the silhouette down there that there's a bit of cloth going on as well. Get the kneecap sort of falling in the center right here, and you see the sort of the bones of the femur. It's so weird that when you like are squatting, that your femur is sort of like facing outwards, and you can feel like the bottom of your femur. It doesn't feel like it's the bottom of your femur. It kind of just feels like your knee, but it's like, if you think about it, like you can touch the bottom most part of your femur, and it's like really kind of creepy. So you might have noticed I did mess up right here. The elbow should not be this far down. It should be more up here, because we see the crook of the elbow is happening more like right here. So that's my bad. In fact, the elbow is mostly obscured by everything the darkness going on right here. There's really not much as far as silhouette goes over here, besides what is happening with our knee. Because I would still throw this in like sketch territory. I'm not trying to be too clean with my lines. In fact, I'm trying to do more kind of like a Ligne Claire type deal. And it's like, how can we show like that this cloth is like not part of the body? It's like we can use a few more like straight lines Then it's like we're using a lot of organic shapes when we're doing the body here. Granted, I will still use straight lines when I'm doing the body, just a little bit more selectively. When you're doing like these fabrics in comparison, you can kind of get away with doing jagged edges a little bit more. Case in point, do it right there a little bit. Because the deltoid, it wraps around, sort of sits on top of the arm, and sort of the heads connect to the front side of the humerus, not the complete front, but the front half of the humerus. There's going to be a bit of like overlap there from the deltoid. So what there's that transition, you're going to see that there. And the bicep, you have your I believe this is your radial brachialis right here. That's sort of like this like lump as it sort of forms into your bicep. I believe that's a radial brachialis. Correct me if I'm wrong, or I will learn as time goes on. Just gonna do a rough indication of the fingers doing here. There's a lot of lines going on here, so I'm gonna like jumble them up. Or I'm not going to jumble them up a ton and kind of just leave up to the imagination. You can see right here, you can see that deltoid. It sort of connects to the more front half of the side of the humerus. So you're going to see an overlap as the deltoid shapes into there. You're going to be doing a little bit of negative space work down here because there's a gap here formed by the torso and where the legs begin right there. Oh, my little timer's going off. It's been 25 minutes. Now that I know how long it's been. I've really spent 25 minutes on the sketch, probably have, because I've been doing a lot of talking. Here's where like the foot gets a little, because it's going off the page right there. It's getting a little wonky. That's all right though. Let's give him some pupils to look a little creepier. Okay. There's that fella done. Lots of things I need to work on. Uh, the proportions are a little are always going to be a weird thing, but if you want me to be real, if you want me to be completely honest, proportions aren't always uh where like the realism lies. So I mean, like, uh, I'm definitely like I'm open to like playing around with it if you know what I mean. Like I'm not trying to achieve perfect realism. I want to like it's like you want to sort of like accompany for sort of like flow and rhythm as well. I think that's what gesture studies are really good for. It's like how do we see the movement? How do we see the movement in this art as well? So it's something that I want to like pay attention to as I'm learning more anatomy. Doing like faces at this scale is always like pretty hard as well because it's like where do you put the lines? Lines should show like where we're like folding. They should show like one, they should show silhouettes. They should show cross contours, but when should they show cross contours? It's like that's kind of up to you to decide. It's also like they should also show uh like sort of like occlusion shadows, so like where two objects are touching together. All of those things to consider. I always find it very satisfying when like you're like squatting down and like your calf is sort of like squashed outwards. It kind of reminds you, it's like, oh, we do have muscle. We got some muscles in there. It's like we get some actual physical things going on in our body. It's not just like air. I'll look for another thing to draw. I probably won't do another full figure sketch. I will probably just do like a a part. Here's an interesting one. This is like a woman like she's like looks like she's about to do like a kick, and she's like has her like leg up like she's like bouncing about to like she's like pivoting on her left leg about to kick out her right leg. So if I'm thinking about it's like we're thinking about the pelvis sort of like doing a big tilt this way. I'm seeing like the humerus is like sticking right here, but then it's sort of like coming inwards up into it's crossing over the body, right? And then it's sort of because the tibia has a little bit of like a curve towards the body. It's sort of like doing this little curve thing. And of course, we got to place the muscles on top of the bone. So it's like you got from this angle, you see a bit of like the glutes going into like the hamstrings from the back. Top of the knees, like right here. See a bit of the calf from this side. Here's another thing that I've like been trying to like pick up on. There's definitely like there is not a lot of like symmetry when it comes to like drawing the body in poses. So it's like you never want to accentuate that symmetry too much. It's like it can be kind of like detrimental to sort of like the overall like feel of what you got going on. This person's wearing like an oversized shirt, so there's definitely a lot of like there's a lot of like overhang going on. So here's like because so in my reference image here, there's not a lot of like cross contour lighting going on, so it becomes a little bit more necessary to like figure out if we have any like contours going on here. So it can probably help to do like a little bit of cross contouring here. So it's like you have the top of the leg right here, and then it comes around wide and it sort of like tucks back in because we're seeing this because the leg is like raised up and a little bit above like where our like horizon line would be. You see a bit of like the underside as well. There's that. And you get the like if you were to think of the patella as like a T right there, you get the bit of like the T going on. And for like the leg here, it's like we know we got the bone right there, which is pretty round when being viewed from the side, especially as it's like getting away from us. And then suddenly like shoots back because you have the squashing of that calf muscle. Then of course you got this part of the leg going right there. And then right here, this is all shirt, t-shirt. This isn't like how to draw like clothes, but I guess you could be like most people you're going to be drawing aren't going to be like displaying like all of their musculature. So I mean, it's never wrong to be like, I guess I can like draw some clothes here. And again, we're not going to pay too much attention to like the anatomy of like the foot here. We just want to get like the general shape going. Showing that there's some like scrunched and close going here. You know, we got pulling, we got twisting. I think that leaves me with enough time for one tiny little one. I gotta figure out what I wanna do that's gonna be small enough. My difficulties are, I feel like, definitely like the arms from like any angle, and probably like the shoulder girdle are probably like where I have my biggest issues. The shoulder girdle, just because it's so mobile and it's like there's a lot of like variance when it comes to like different angles that can become very, it can become very tedious to try and like figure out like placements, especially once you start to get into perspective. You're like, oh, gross. You know, some people, they just like understand it, you know. I am unfortunately not one of those people. I like things don't just like come incredibly naturally to me. I'm trying to find an individual as viewed from like the back. You know what? We'll do this one as a freehand. Why not? Why not? Freehands can be, you know. How am I gonna fit this in here? Probably gonna fit it like, I'll probably just do like the left side. Yeah, we'll do it like that. So what I'm gonna be looking for is like definitely like the trapezius muscles. Because I'm doing like freehand, I need to like plot out a little bit more of like what I got going on right here. So get like the trapezius going into the neck right there, sort of like flowing into the uh shoulders. Hmm. Shoulders connect, or the deltoids connect to like or if they like wrap around your body, so they're going to wrap around your torso. I think your rear delts are a bit more like flat, and it's like your front delts are a little bit more like rounded. So you can, not that I'm necessarily demonstrating that perfectly here, but when it comes to your line art, you can try and demonstrate that a little bit better. Just demonstrate it better than I am. Then you're gonna have their biceps. We're gonna draw it as sort of just like a little wedge right here. I sort of think of the triceps as like they peak at the top and then they sort of flatten out to your humerus into your ulna as it goes down. So we're just gonna depict it as such. Here's the fun part. We can just show the lats as sort of like being this overwhelmingly large round muscle, so we can like accentuate its roundness quite a bit leading into the back. And it's like people will look at it and they'll be like, yep, that's the lats. So you can exaggerate them a little bit more, which is what I find quite fun about the lats being such like a large, like encompassing muscle. So if we get the center of the spine, he's turning this way, he's sort of coming down. Our center line is roughly right here. See a little bit of a division where the rhomboids are connecting in the center. I guess the traps would be connecting in the center as well. So seeing a little bit of a divot up here, but not carry about that too much. Show a little bit of evenness with the lats on the back. We're not going to carry about this side too much because it's going to be cut off right here for the most part. I'm going to use a little bit of a, I'm just going to be, instead of like trying to figure out the anatomy one-to-one here, I'm just going to be going based off of my reference images negative space in between the arms right here, trying to get that shape to be like relatively close, because use all of the tools at your disposal. Like you can use your negative spaces to sort of inform what the rest of your actual like figure is going to look like. And a lot of the times if your negative space checks out, the rest of it is going to check out as well. This fold in the arm comes from the brachioradialis, so it's going to be a pretty big, it creates a fairly large overlap. And of course, you're not going to see too many of like your traps going on here. You can sort of align sort of the how the, since the arms are rotated upwards, you could imagine the scapula is like right here, and then maybe like bending this way a little bit, because your traps are going to connect on this side to your scapula, right? And you're going to see the spine of the scapula, so it's like we can imagine that the acromion process is right here. The spine of your scapula is going to be like, yeah, roughly like right there, and then it's going to curve like inwards right here, and then that is going to in turn connect to your trapezoids, your trips. All right, and that was a freehand. Uh, I hope that was fun to watch. I always get so nervous with my free hands because it's like, I don't know, maybe like sometimes it forces you to pay a little bit more attention to what exactly you have going on proportion wise. Like the fear of messing up can be like quite significant. Like right here I didn't get the center line quite perfect, so it's like you need to pay more attention to that right there. Okay, I think I think that was a pretty good drawing session. I definitely I got my hour of drawing in today, that's for certain. Sometimes this is all an hour of drawing needs to be. It doesn't need to be filled entirely with beautiful drawings. Maybe it's good to draw with intention. So even if I have like fewer like actual drawings here, like there was a lot of intention going behind them. Okay, that was fun, guys. Wait, you're about to see the goofiest looking guy that you've ever seen in your entire life. Boom, baby. Oh, and you can also you can see everything that I've going on behind me. Let me. Ugh. Okay, that better. You can see my rancid hairline. All right, well, thank you everybody for watching this stream. I definitely had a very good time, and any excuse to draw is is good enough for me. Some days I definitely like I lack the motivation to sort of uh, to keep myself going, and it's stuff like this that sort of helps me stay on track. And like you wanna know what the thing is? It's like I don't even really live stream for like other people necessarily. Like it like kind of is for me. You don't have a lot of time in your day-to-day life to sort of like talk about yourself, um or to talk about like all of your interests, or to like get down to the nitty-gritty of things, you know, like sometimes it's hard to work that in to your day-to-day life. But when I'm like streaming, I kind of it's cathartic in the way that I get to sort of like speak everything that's been on my mind, right? Maybe not everything. Maybe I need to like probe myself a little deeper, but it like feels good to sort of like just like speak things without the fear of being interrupted. Because gosh, in my day-to-day life, by just like random people, I get interrupted so much. So I like being able to just I love to be able to just like talk, to just be able to talk, and that's like all the talking that I need for the day. Like if like I hate talking to like people, like talking to people can be very uh like constraining, but when I'm talking to nobody, or quote unquote nobody, when I'm talking out into the ether, suddenly becomes a lot easier. Okay, well, thank you everybody for watching the stream. I hope that I hope you learned a thing or two. And if you didn't learn a thing or two, oh well, I don't know what to tell you. If you like what you see here, go ahead and give the channel a little subscribe, like everything on my channel. Go through and like everything, comment on everything. Check out the art shorts that I've been putting out. I have a lot of fun working on these little. They're not postcard size, but they're postcard like aspect ratio. They're just enlarged a little, but go ahead and if you like these, there will be more coming. At least while I still enjoy making them. I appreciate everybody who watches this channel. We'll catch you, maybe not next week. We'll probably catch you the week after. I need to let my life marinate a little before I go and like start throwing things out there, because things happen very slowly in my life and I need time for interesting things to accumulate. So goodbye, everybody. This is Liminal Pines, over and out.